listening to the God Stories Radio podcast, bringing hope, comfort, and encouragement to the world 24 hours a day. The power of the Christian testimony.
Join the God movement.
Hi there. We here at God Stories Radio are reaching out to you and your business to sponsor us for as little as $10 a month. We need you so that we can continue bringing hope, comfort, and encouragement through the power of the Christian testimony. By your business blessing us monthly, we are able to bless others weekly. To sponsor us, email godstoriesradio@gmail.com. And you don't have to be a business to be a blessing. Visit godstoriesradio.com to donate securely through PayPal. Just press the button.
You're listening to the God Stories Radio podcast with Mike, Fritz, and Tina. Listen to us live on the Mixlr app. Also, be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio, and you will never miss an episode.
And welcome, everyone, to God Stories Radio. This is session 191. 192 already?
Yeah, 192.
It is 192. I know it's Thursday.
It is Thursday.
Yes, it is.
We're
all
here.
day. All day it's been Thursday. You bet. What's going on over there, Mikey?
Oh, just things.
Just things.
Just things.
Well, it's either riding the wave or
the wave, yeah.
just things.
We were talking about that earlier before we came in.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you can't explain it in one sentence, it's riding the wave.
Riding the wave.
Just things.
Something, like last week or two, I guess things have been talked about myself and where's that woman and so on and so forth. And
where is that woman?
I don't know. And today I just thought it something that, I go get a haircut. I haven't seen this woman in 2 months. And she says, "So, any woman yet?" I says, "No, I wish, but no." And then I get home, and then Martin's there, and he said something about we got to get you a woman or something. So, okay.
Coming from the one that...
Yeah, really.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
I love you, Martin. You're awesome, buddy. Love it. What's going on over there, babe?
Just diving into the Word, trying to...
Yeah, we have dove into the Word.
We really have, yeah. We're trying to pray and fast and really just get on a whole new level.
I know it's made a difference, especially for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun because, sometimes when you've been on the journey for a long time, you kind of feel like you know it all, you've heard it all, and sometimes you just don't want to put that kind of diligence towards it. And then the Lord just shows you, you know nothing. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wow, I didn't realize all that was there. When did they add that to the Bible? Turns out it's been there all along.
Well, yeah, it's like Robert Morris says, it really is a spiritual book.
Oh, yeah. But we've had a lot of fun reading about the symbols and symbolatry.
Yeah.
And
boy, that's the truth.
So forth. So
I see the Bible in a completely different way now.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Especially with trees and birds of the air and beasts of the field.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely ramping up the prayer life, ramping up the walk.
Yep. Like to ramp up the walk. That's for sure.
I like to walk up the walk.
Ramp up the wave for Mikey.
Uh-huh.
Hey, we want to welcome everybody on Mixlr tonight. We got some new folks on there. Hey, Alexander Ray, man, I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome.
Hey, Alexander.
And our guest from last week, Colleen Sobek.
Yes, Shobek.
Hello,
Shobek. It's
yes,
Shobek.
Miss
I'm sorry,
Shobek.
Colleen. I will get that right on the 100th time, I promise.
I bet she's laughing right now.
I hope so. If I can just bring a little comedic relief to people's lives, I've done my duty.
Shout out to Tommy as well.
Shout out to Tommy and Laura Lee. Is it Laura Lee? Is on tonight with us. Welcome to the show. I know that you guys have dialed into a good one tonight.
Definitely.
That's for sure. I think I heard a rumor, though.
A rumor?
Yeah. That we had a few Facebook likes.
We do.
Yeah.
We didn't have any last week, but
The dry period is over.
We're going to make up for last week.
we are.
I have a feeling.
we are. Matter of fact, I usually do them about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon and get ready for tonight. And I was early today, so I did it about noontime. And it was 4 new ones.
4?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
And then I did some reading and stuff like that, and I went back. There was 4 more.
4 more.
8
That
Facebook
is fabulous.
Yeah.
Woo.
4 in a matter of a couple hours this afternoon.
I don't know how you stand all this excitement, Mike.
It's really not him that's getting excited. I think it's me.
Yeah, I think it is. And the first one is our guest from last week, Colleen Schobeck.
Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you, Colleen.
The next one is Scott Kuziak.
Scott Kuziak. Kuziak. How'd you say that?
Kuziak.
Scott, however you pronounce it, welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you
It's
liking us.
almost like that actor's name, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like John Cusack.
Cusack. Yeah.
Kuziak.
And then Joseph McGurl Jr.
Joseph, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Joseph.
Welcome to the GSR family.
Thank you. And then you made Fritz real happy.
Yes, it did.
It did.
I am not going to lie.
And then we have Claudia Rivera.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you, Claudia.
I think our present guest knows that one.
Yeah.
And then we have Stephen Elmore.
Gee, I wonder who that could be.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah, you're going to find out, that's for sure.
I'm sure.
You bet.
And then Asia Lambert.
Thank you, Asia.
Thank you, Asia.
Appreciate
Asia.
that so much.
Cool name.
I think you recognize this one, Fritz. Christopher Tabone.
Christopher Tabone,
Mr.
Pastor Chris
Tabone.
T-Bone in the house. In fact, he will be in the house here
He will.
in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And then Francis Shield Warren.
Well, thank you, Francis.
Thank you for liking us on Facebook. And if you haven't done so already, please do so from wherever you are. Fritz gets a little, if there is none.
I do, because, it's just so awkward when you don't have any of those names and you build it into the show and you go, hey, we got any Facebook likes? No.
And we're still sitting at 93 countries.
93 countries.
Yep.
Fantastic. 93 that we know about.
That's right, that we know of.
Right. But, when you figure 6 years ago that we were sitting in my kitchen and we had like 2 counties. Now it's 93 countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big turnaround.
God is
God
alive.
is good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
All right. Wonderful, man. I don't want to take up much more time. Babe, you want to introduce our guest?
I'd love to.
Man, I'm so excited to have these guys in the studio right now. I've been reeling all day.
Well, I've been blessed actually to meet our present guest and her husband. About 3-4 months ago, my husband started a new position at First United Methodist Church, and I got the opportunity to attend the Christmas party with him, and that's where I met our present guest, Miss Sochi Elmore. She is a stay-at-home mom of 2 wonderful children, Jude, 10 years old, and Evelyn, 5 years old. So, she's a native Floridian and has started a ministry and is the founder for a ministry called Remarkable. It's a women's ministry. She started it about a year ago, and it's
a remarkable
pretty exciting.
name.
It is, yeah. It's a really, really cool name. And she's here to tell us her story. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Miss Sochi Elmore and her husband, Stephen Elmore.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
welcome to the show.
Thank you for saying
Thanks for
yes.
coming, guys. I know you guys are busy, and we ask a lot of people. Not everybody says yes, so we're very appreciative. I know your husband's busy.
Yes, yes, he is. So
We're honored
thank
to be
you
here.
so much for having us. And we know that it's not an accident when we sat beside each other at the Christmas party and we just got talking, and it was just an open door from the Lord. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's a blessing for us.
It is.
Thank you for blessing us.
Amen.
I feel it's more a partnership now because,
Yes.
after what my wife told me, things that are just coming about,
That's right.
with women and things like that.
Connections.
I'm excited. I got a front row seat for it.
Amen.
Yep. we got work to do.
Yes, we do. Well, like you said, Tina, my name is Sochi Elmore, and I'm happily married to the love of my life. He's most handsome, and I always say the smartest man I know. And,
He's pretty smart.
He is.
Yes, he is.
And we've been married for 15 years, going on 16 years. We have 2 children. And a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Florida, like Miss Tina said. And my dad was a pastor, and he still is, of a Southern Baptist church here in Mascot. It's called La Primera Iglesia Bautista de Mascot. It's a Spanish Baptist church, and just been there ever since. I mean, he's still there, going on almost 40 years or something. It's been a long time, and he's still preaching the gospel, and he's just a dynamic man of God. And I've just been blessed to been raised in a Christian home, have 2 great older brothers, Eric and Adele, and that's just a little bit of my story. One of the things that God has blessed me with my parents is that at a very early age, they put the fear of God in me. And so I was a good girl. Of course, I made mistakes, but for the most part, I just knew that the Lord was watching. And so
you're talking Southern Baptist.
Yeah. So I knew the Bible, and I got saved at an early age. And I got baptized when I was 13, because I knew that I couldn't go on the coattails of my parents. I had to have that relationship for myself. And then I started really living the life. I remember at a very 13, 14, I was reading my Bible. I just can't comprehend. Like I was thinking about that today. Like I had my devotion. It was called Essential Connection back then. And I would read that and I'm like, where did I even get that? But I know that the Holy Spirit was working on me at a very early age. And like I said, my parents were very strict, but they were very supportive of me and my brothers with with sports and with extracurricular activities. So they didn't really want us to do a whole lot of, working. They just want us to enjoy life. And so one of the things that I was very blessed with is that my parents stayed in the same home until I graduated, because I was the youngest. And they kept us all, the 3 of us, at the same elementary, middle, and high school. And I think about that, and not till, years later did I hear Stephen's testimony where he moved around a lot. But that was such a gift, because we had that stability, all 3 of us, that we knew the same teachers. And so that's just something that I'm very thankful for my parents. And after high school, I started, doing volunteer work and serving, and I ended up serving at a summer camp, a girls' camp. And I really feel that was where God started to just started stirring my heart for a call to ministry to at that time was girls, and a little bit later to women. And one thing that I know that God is continually teaching me is that it's baby steps. It's the thing of God putting our mark on us, not just like when we're adults, but slowly, right after we get saved, we have this relationship with Christ, and he starts making his mark on us. And as soon as I was at the camp for 3 years, I really felt the call of God to devote my life to ministry. So later on, I went to Lake Sumter, and I met this handsome fellow here, and we started dating. But I knew that God wanted me to go to a Christian college. I never had that desire to go to a big university like the University of Florida or Florida State. I just knew that I wanted to do something in ministry. So God opened the door for me to go to the Baptist College of Florida, which is a small college in the Panhandle, small town called Graceville. Really, really great Baptist college. And some of my favorite memories, just really God started to work in my life, because I was so dependent on my parents' faith. Even though I had it for myself, I was so dependent on their faith. And not till I moved away and went to college that I established that really firm faith that it's just me and God, So I ended up being a resident director there, and got to get to know the college girls. But I saw again that God was making another mark on my life with girls, women, and girls are very temperamental, and I would probably have to say that was my hardest job being of my life, being a girls' dorm resident director, because we're pretty moody, but God sustained me and prepared me, because those times in the dorm room where I was, having to settle arguments, He was preparing me for now, So, at the Baptist College of Florida, there's a lot of pastors and just people want to get married, and so people were getting married left and right, and me and Stephen were dating for 3 years, and oh man, I was like, I want to get married. And my dad sat me down. I don't know if Stephen was there, but he said, I really want you to have this college degree, and I want you to finish college, and I will pay for college as long as you get married, as long as you graduate before you get married. And so I was like, I want to be married to the love of my life. And so we waited till I graduated, and then 3 years later, not 3 years, 3 months late, 3 weeks later, we got married. So I graduated May, and then in June we got married, because we were ready. And that was the start of our marriage. And they always say that the first year is always the hardest, and it really was. And we decided when we were in Graceville that we would stay in Graceville for about a year to establish our relationship. And like I said, I love my family. We're a very close-knit family, very, very dependent on my parents. And I knew that I needed to, and Stephen did too, that I needed to depend on my husband and establish this foundation of our Elmore marriage. And so we decided to stay in Graceville. But then I started getting super homesick. I missed my family. I missed my niece that was probably 2 years old at that time. And so we decided, Stephen's like, we said a year, so we're gonna stay here a year. And we decided to stay, but something happened. I got a call. I remember the date so vividly. I got a call February 13th, 2004, and it rocked our world, and it challenged our faith. And just because you are from a Christian home and you think that you have this firm foundation, things can change like that. And my dad's very influential in Mascot, Groveland area. People know him. They know our family because we have been there forever. So it didn't only rock our world, but it rocked everybody's world in that community. But we were still in Graceville, and I got this call that like I said, changed our lives. But my brother Adele called me. Like I said, I have 2 brothers. Awesome brothers. Very, very protective and loving. And I got this call from my brother Adele, and he said, "Is Stephen with you?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, I need you to call me back when Stephen gets there." And I said, I just knew something was wrong with my brother Eric. And I said, "What happened to Eric?" And he said, "No, I want you to go get Stephen." And I said, "Adele, tell me what happened to Eric." At that time, Eric was deployed in Iraq, and we had just got the news that he was killed by a roadside bomb. He was driving the Humvee, and it totally, like I said, challenged our faith. A family that has been rooted in the Word. But had we not been rooted in the Word, our family would have been in shambles, because the peace that surpasses understanding is what got us through. And 14 years later, even though we grieve, we still miss him. That pain never goes away. They say that the time heals all wounds. you still have that in your heart. You still have that love. And we know without a shadow of a doubt that Eric is in heaven, and he's probably like, I'm going to get you when you come up here. Like, stop crying. but we miss him so much.
Yeah.
And at that time, he was 32. He was super young. He had a 2-year-old daughter and a 2-month-old son. So everything was just so new. And I just thank God for his wife, Tracy, that has basically devoted her life to raising these 2 children. Now they're teenagers, and they're the best teenagers. Of course, I'm a little biased, but they're the best teenagers that anybody can ask for. And I know that Eric's super proud of them and Tracy. But we're, like I said, we're super close family, very close knit. My parents live in Mascot. My brother lives in Mascot, and I'm speaking it into existence. Tracy is going to be here very soon. She lives in Wisconsin, so we got to see her over Christmas. But we miss him so much. But like I said, that part of my story, because I feel like people always say, well, you have to have this big testimony, if God changed your life, and if you didn't, what has God done in your life? And I always say, God guarded me from a lot. He guarded me from a lot of bad decisions. And but like my dad and my brothers were very protective. They didn't let me date, and at the time I was very aggravated. But I thank God, because I would never have met this man of God that I have here. So the decisions that I make, I praise God that He gave me that wisdom at a very young age. And like I said, a lot of it was I was scared, but I had that fear of the Lord in me. And now it might have been an unhealthy fear at that age, but now it's a healthy fear. But we moved back sooner than later to Mascot, because I knew I needed to be with my family. And that day, I remember February 13th, it's a 6-hour drive, and we ended up like probably flying home in about 4 hours. And we probably had about 100 people waiting at my house. It was the Mascot community is so close there too. But for that reason, we moved a little bit sooner. And I thank God that Stephen was like, okay, yes, he wasn't like, no, we said we weren't going to move, but he's been always supportive. And so ever since then, we've been in Mascot, lived in a great house. We're very blessed to live in a house that we have bought. But we decided that we wanted to have kids, and it doesn't always come easy for some people. And so when we had decided, it took a good 2.5 years before I got pregnant. And so I'm very sensitive with moms and with women that after they got married, they're always like, when's a kid? Or after a year, okay, why don't you have a kid? They might be struggling, you never know. And so God has really allowed me to be sensitive and say, you'll have that baby when God gives you that baby.
Amen.
And so we about 2.5 years after we decided we're gonna have kids, we have the sweetest little boy, Jude, and I was happy with that. He was my love of my life. I didn't want any more kids, and we decided that I was gonna stay at home, and but we knew that it was gonna be a sacrifice. And so for me to